Hi guys, happy Friday. Yuck. So, alright, anyways, on with part, 4? 5 of the Egyptian gods and goddesses. Now we have Mehet-Weret. So, Mehet-Weret, which means Great Flood, is a minor goddess associated with the creation legends of Egypt. So, in some versions of the story, she epitomizes the primeval ocean, while in others, she is the waterway on which the boat of Re or Ra travels. So she is depicted as a cow bearing a sun disk between the horns and laying upon papyrus reeds. And I just seen Hathor earlier on TV, and it was pretty interesting too. Very interesting. New nose ring, I don't know if I like it. I think it's too small. Yeah, I think it's way too small. I don't know. I'm so tired of these fucking nose septum rings. Okay, now we have Min. So, alright, Min. Now, Min is the Egyptian fertility god. So, he was the most important deity in the Egyptian pantheon in respect to sexual virility. He was worshipped from about 3000 BC until Christianization, circa 400 AD. Yeah. In some legends, he is the son of Isis, while in others, he is her consort, with Horus as their child. So he was depicted as an anthropomorphic form wearing a modius bearing 2 plumes and a hanging ribbon. When generally drawn in profile, his legs are together with his arms raised into an angle made by his loyal flail. His most obvious feature in iconography is his strong erect penis. In older art forms, Min is represented by 2 serrated cones projecting horizontally from a disc. So, the white bull is his sacred animal, and he is associated with the tall lettuce species. Lactuda sativa, which may be reminiscent of the erect penis. Alright, so no, I'm thinking of something else. I'm totally thinking of something else. Right, so toward the end of the 2nd millennium, Min had become partially synchronized with Horus as the god Min-Horus. So he became the guardian of mines, naturally leading to his cults centered in Kieft and Akim, which were bases for gold mining expeditions. So temples at both sites were only known from the Greco-Roman period. So Min was celebrated in the coronation rites for the kings of Egypt, so to ensure the sexual vigor and fertility of the new pharaoh. Now, the festival found depicted at Thebes is associated with the Ramses II and III. So, frequently offerings to the deity consisted of flowers and lettuce. That would probably be what people would offer me. Montu. Alright, now we have Montu. Now, Montu, a local Egyptian war god, was worshipped in the surrounding Thebes area or district in Upper Egypt. He was known from about 2000 BC and possibly earlier, but came to special prominence, overseeing the aggressive posture of the Theban kings from the 4th to the whatever dynasty. So it'd be 2133 through 1320 BC. Montu is depicted in human form, possessing a falcon head surmounted by twin plumes, a sun disk, and the cobra. Now, at some stage, probably as Month, he became identified with the sacred bull, Bacchus. So, very interesting, very interesting. Now we have Mut or Mut. Mut, I think it's Mut. Mut is the patron goddess of Thebes. So in Upper Egypt, she is the counterpart of Sekhmet, the lower Egyptian goddess from Memphis. After suppressing the goddess Amunet, in which capacity she is the mother of the moon and god Khonsu. So she was also regarded as the divine mother of the Theban kings. Mut is depicted in human form wearing a vulture headdress, surmounted by the twin crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt. She is typically dressed in a bright red or blue patterned gown. Less frequently, she is drawn with a lion's head, and her cult center was at Thebes, where her sanctuary was known as Isru. Isaru. So very interesting. I like it. I love these. Alright, now we have Neath. Now Neath was a primordial goddess, one of the 8 Egyptian deities composing the Ogdoad in the Hermopolitan theological system, who represented chaos. Now her consort was Nun, or Nun. She is one of the 4 feminine deities who had serpent heads representing their affinity for the depths of the earth. Now when paired with Nun, or Nun, the couple epitomized the primordial abyss. Interesting, very interesting actually. So, anthropomorphized as a baboon, she is depicted as greeting the rising sun. I love it. I love these Egyptian deities. They're amazing. Alright, so where did we go? Now we have Neath. Alright, so Neath. Neath is the is a goddess of Lower Egypt, particularly associated with Sais, but soon she was incorporated into the national pantheon with a sanctuary at Memphis. I would love to see some of these sanctuaries. Be amazing. So according to the legend, Neath emerged from the primeval water to create the world. She followed the course of the Nile to the sea, and when reaching the delta, she formed the city of Sais. Now in the New Kingdom, she was regarded as the god's mother who bore Re, or Ra, whereby she assumed the position of a primeval goddess who was neither male nor female. She was the first to create the seed of gods and men. She is the mother of the Egyptian rulers, and she is a mortuary goddess who watched over Osiris's bier, along with Isis, Nephthys, and Serket. So the deceased received her divine power by means of the mummy's wrappings. From the bandages and shrouds were considered gifts of Neath. So who has regarded as the patroness of weaving? Possibly there was an earlier proposal that her symbol was the weaver's shuttle, a weaver. So, when depicted in human form, she wears the red crown of Lower Egypt, and in ancient times, her pre-anthropomorphic symbol was a shield bearing crosses, because she was also a local war goddess. Now, this goddess of war also blessed hunters' weapons. So, this practice of placing weapons around the coffin in ancient Egyptian times could be traced to the goddess's protective functions. So, she was sometimes asked to give advice and judgment, as, for example, in the 8th year war of the god between Seth and Horus, which she advised Re or Ra in favor of Horus. In other legends, she was the consort of Seth and mother of the crocodile god Sobek, which also explains the proximity of her cult center in the Delta. Sobek. Easter egg. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yep, literally, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Alright, where'd I go? Nephthys. Now, Nephthys, the second daughter of Nut, and born on the 5th intercalary day, was the consort of Seth, now her brother, but her loyalties were with Osiris. Now her names mean Lady of the House, and is thought to refer to the palace of Osiris. Now as the wife of Seth, the god of aridity and storm, Nephthys conceived no children. Her greatest desire was to have a child by Osiris. So, by either getting him drunk or disguising herself as Isis, she deceived him. The fruit of their union was Anubis, but from fear of Seth's vengeance, she exposed the infant as soon as he was born. Soon afterwards, Seth murdered Osiris, which caused Nephthys to flee from him. So she then joined Isis in her search for the remains of the body of Osiris, told her sister about Anubis. Now Isis found the baby in the Delta marshes when searching for Osiris and adopted him. So afterwards, Nephthys remained with Isis during her further trials of hiding in the marshes. Isis protected her and others who had fled the horror of Seth by giving them magical powers that enabled them to transform into various animal forms through metamorphosis. When finding the parts of the body of Osiris, which Isis puts together, the two sisters embalm it. Then, as kites, they mourn over the corpse. In the same way, in funerary rites, when the deceased was identified with Osiris, Nephthys mourned at the head of the coffin, while Isis stood at the foot. Like Isis, she enfolded and protected the deceased with her long feathery wings, was represented as such on coffins. So she was said to be a friend of the dead in the judgment hall of Osiris. It's very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. So in another legend, after Seth succeeds in capturing Osiris's body, the second time in cutting it up into pieces, Isis does not stop searching till she finds the pieces. She locates all the pieces except the phallus, and then she enlisted the aid of Anubis, Nephthys, and other deities to create the first mummy. I like that. That's really, really interesting stuff right there. So, who knows? Who knows? Alright, now, let's see, where did we go? Now we have Nun. So, Nun, or Nun, wow. So, Nu, or Nun or Nu, was chaos, or the primeval waters from which all life emanate, and was guarded by 4 androgynous frogs and a serpent-headed deities. Atum, father of all gods, rose from Nun, Nun, or Nun, through his son, was greater than himself. In Heliopolis, Nun was called infinity, nothingness, nowhere, and darkness. So being the primeval waters of Egyptian mythology, Nu, or Nun, is in rare illustrations, is pictured as a bearded man with the head of either a frog, eagle, or serpent, standing waist deep in water, with arms raised to support the solar bark, in which the sun disk was being raised up by a scarab Isis. Now Isis and Nephthys supported the scarab, and the crew of the boat included Shu and Geb. So these were depicted in texts as deities issuing from Nun. Nun was described as having no surface. For the primeval period, he filled the entire cosmos. It was the belief of Shu, the air which separated the sky from the earth. Very interesting stuff. So, in the Hermopolitan theological system, Nu arose from these depths, these deep, endless, murky, and unperceived waters, with other gods and their consorts who personify the aspects of chaos. Now, the gods Nu and Nonut, Kut and Kawet, Amun and Amunet comprise the Og-Dode of Kum, the town of 8. Within the Hermopolitan system, that is thought to have originated at a fairly early date, since it is, mentioned in the pyramid texts several times. There are about 4 elements of the primeval chaos. These elements, which gradually formulated to account for the formulation of the universe, might be considered aspects of chaos itself, of the primeval hillock, which the texts refer to as the Island of Flame. So 4 gods appeared simultaneously. Among them were Nu, or Nun, and his consort Nonet, the god and goddess of the primeval ocean. So, Nu is also mentioned in the Memphite system, which combined both theological and political theories, and is said to have been carved on what is presently known as Shabaka stone, and it's a basalt slab, commanded by King Shabaka. So, 25th dynasty or the 8th century BCE. So, pretty long ago. Although most of the engraving is difficult to translate, the main doctrine was discernible. The system centered on the god Ptah, the god of Memphis, in his role of demiurge or maker of the universe. So Ptah originally existed before everything else, and had his existence in Nun, or Nun. The primeval ocean formed in other cosmologies. Now Nu was believed to still exist. His representation was seen in the water discovered whenever a well was dug, and in the flooding waters of the Nile. Occasionally it was thought that the waters of Nun, which surrounded the floating earth, would one day re-envelope the world, and Atum would revert to his original form as a serpent. Osiris, instead of Re, would sail over the waters of Nun, as a whole. Nun was a beneficent god. He looked after Shu and Tefnet at birth, and he supposedly guarded and kept in check the demonic powers of chaos represented by serpents. I love it. It's amazing. It's seriously just amazing. So where did we go? Alright, we have quite a few more to go. So we will finish up tomorrow with... Let's see. Where should I go? Wow. Newt. So, wow. That's a lot. That's just a lot. There's a lot. I mean, so much going on in that pantheon. So, what do you guys think? You guys enjoy the Egyptian mythologies and everything? I love it. It's just incredible. So, but alright guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. So, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I love you all very much. Be safe, stay home. Yeah, don't get sick. So, I love you guys very much. With all my heart, all the way from Venus, all the way back down. And I will see you all tomorrow. So yes, please stay safe guys. And I love you all. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.